look at your monthly statement. If you've got retirement money sitting in cash that you're not going to need to access for 5 years or longer, it probably shouldn't be sitting in cash.
Welcome to Upticks with Jake Falcon, founder and CEO of Falcon Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, we help high net worth individuals overcome financial complexities. We do this by enhancing financial literacy and discussing topics in a language free from industry jargon. Join us as we help explain exactly what having a solid financial plan means, as Jake draws from years of experience in helping hundreds of individuals get financially organized and focused on their goals. We hope you find Upticks educational, entertaining, and shareable. Now, on to the show.
Welcome back to Upticks with Jake and Cory. Cory, welcome back to the show.
Jake, thank you for having me. I'm back again in the suit. Feels good.
Yeah, so week 2, and how's the baby doing?
Baby's doing great. She'll be 7 weeks soon, which is kind of hard to believe. You know, everybody told us the time flies by and it's happening, but she's doing great. Thank you.
Well, that's good. That's good. And I appreciate, Cory. I got called out by a client, says all I talk about is golf on this show. So I appreciate that. So what's new with me besides golf?
There we go.
Rachel and I have been busy. The house is coming along really nicely with our interior decorator. So I'm really excited about that. And I just started a new book. It's called something like In This Economy, which I'm really excited about. It's a pretty thick book. It's almost like a textbook. But obviously I know about the economy and the markets, but I am not here sitting on my chair saying I know everything. So I just want our audience to know that I do have a passion and curiosity for learning more about investments, economy, the markets, financial planning, retirement planning. And so I'm really excited. I just started that book yesterday. And so it'll be fun to watch. And we're in the heat of the Olympics, Cory. You got any Olympics stories that you've watched or something cool that you've been following?
I don't have much of anything on that front. How about you?
Yeah, Rachel really likes the swimming, track and field, and the gymnastics, which I don't really like that much. I told her I like the track and field, but I'm excited. I need to make sure I tune in. Golf's coming up, of course. I want to watch that. But it's just fun to watch. It's something new, right? Something new on TV. Comes around every 4 years, and it's been pretty cool to hear some of the stories and watch these athletes compete. So it's been good.
Good.
All right, Cory, before we dive into today's topic, I did want to bring up something that I've been rolling out to clients here every week, and I know you're working on doing the same or something similar, is that we are upgrading our service model at Falcon Wealth Advisors. And ultimately, Cory, as you and I have continued to develop our business and grow our practice, is that we want to give clients what they want. And based on now 18 years of doing this, of being a financial advisor, wealth advisor, is that I personally don't think clients want me to sit in every review. I think what they really want is for us to answer their financial questions when they come up. They want us to be available to them to answer those questions, and they want to develop a relationship with us. And so as a result, we have upgraded our service. Just like, we have to continually reinvent our business, just like most businesses do. And I always like to use the Blockbuster analogy, is that Blockbuster thought people were going to go in, Cory, and rent VHS or DVDs for them forever. And they didn't pivot and reinvent themselves to what the consumer ultimately wanted, which was not to do that. And so that's why you don't see many Blockbusters around anymore. And so for us, Cory, if you remember, and I think you did the same too, I used to actually do rollover calls with my clients. Didn't you do that also?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. For years.
So as our business grew and as we recognized where our impact was most useful, we recognized that you and I don't need to be in those rollover calls. So we hired operations people, trained them how to do it, and now they do the rollover calls, right? And you and I used to do all of the trading on our own, right? And we recognized as our practice grew that we didn't need to do all of the trades. So we hired traders and portfolio manager to help do those things. Again, you and I are setting the policy, we're setting the theme, the things that the people are doing on our team the way that we want them done for our clients, but we're not actually doing it. And now we're basically on our third iteration of this, which is the standard. And I want to make this very clear to our clients, the standard review, right? The clients that are just coming in, nothing's changed in their life. They don't have any major events going on. They just need to check in on their plan. They need to update it. Maybe they need to do some tax planning. Maybe they need to look at their investments, but nothing out of the ordinary, nothing extreme. this is why, Cory, we have hired financial planners to help take care of those routine reviews. Now, again, I want to make it clear that I'm available to any client at Falcon Wealth Advisors anytime. They just simply need to get on my schedule. And I think, Cory, personally, it would be very selfish of us if we, and again, originally we were going to have 100 or 200 clients each and cut it off. And as we grew our company, we recognized that that would be selfish of both of us to do that, because then we would stop helping people that needed and wanted our help. And so that's where this is coming from, is that I don't want to say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't take on any clients anymore, because I really got into this business 18 years ago to help people. And I feel like because you and I have surrounded ourselves with a team of professionals, we are now able to help a lot more people than if it was just me, you, and Sam, which is our third partner. Sam's worked with us a long time, and so forth. So do you have anything to add there?
The one point I would add to that, again, is that multiple sets of eyes and ears, Jake. I think exactly to your point, talking to clients, reviewing the plan, conducting the meetings also. It's not a bad thing for somebody to have another set of eyes and ears. And we know, Jake, frankly, that our belief is that if we are talking with someone that's working with an advisor, that it's a one-stop shop, that we're going to be able to run circles around them, Jake, because we have a team of people here. It's why we do tax planning, financial planning, CFPs, investment management, all of the designations, everyone that we've hand selected and groomed. It's been to ultimately provide a better service for our clients.
Right. And I laugh when it's a good joke when clients will call me out and they'll say, Jake, you said you're only going to have 100 clients. You said you only have 200 clients, whatever it was. And that was my plan originally. And that's why you joined me, because I had 100, I think I had 100 clients when you and I started working together. Then I got to 200, and then you grew to 100 and 200. And the problem was, Cory, we tried to have other wealth advisors join us. Right. It hasn't worked out. And I don't know why. Maybe you and I are difficult to work with, Cory.
Maybe it's us.
I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think it's us. But the reality is that you and I have worked closely together. We see eye to eye as far as what is important to the client and how to advise and service clients. And frankly, we just haven't had other advisors see that way. And it doesn't make them bad people, doesn't make us bad people. It just hasn't worked out. Now, we are trying it again with Kevin. We have a third advisor on our team, and we're hopeful that that works out for him and for us. But ultimately, that's why you and I have had to accept new clients, because we frankly just didn't have another advisor who fit in with our culture. And so rather than you and I spend all the time and energy and money paying other advisors and attempting to join them, we said, look, we'll just set the tone and we'll surround ourselves with other professionals, train them how we want to do things, let them take care of the day-to-day, get into the weeds situations with clients. And by the way, we're still our clients' advisors. We are available to them. All they needed to do is get on our schedule, and we're happy to help them. And so hopefully clients are understanding that it really, we're building Falcon Wealth Advisors to support and service and advise our clients better than just you and I could do on our own. And that's really the whole key here. So good. And then we had another issue come up. Not a big deal, but we do come across this from time to time. Why don't you go into it, how another advisor was promising higher returns. And we want to warn people when they hear this from advisors.
Yes. So to be careful here and to share this real quick, I had a conversation with a client who met with another advisor that ultimately claimed that they would be able to add, 1.5% to 2% returns into, on top of what this client was doing each year. And, my takeaway, Jake, and I think yours, I hear a red flag, obviously, when I hear somebody guaranteeing any kind of performance, because we don't know what the future is going to hold. Frankly, if somebody could guarantee performance, they'd probably just do that with their own money versus, helping to manage other people's. So that's one point that I want to make there, but just recognize that what Jake just highlighted and what we've talked about on this show, why we've built out our team, why we've built out this practice to do the best thing that we can for clients, is because we can't predict the future. We can't time the market. We can control how much we service clients. We can control how much we communicate with them to make sure that things are staying on track. But ultimately, if a relationship is starting with somebody who is claiming that they can guarantee performance, that is just something that it makes me uneasy, Jake. It makes me nervous, because I don't know what someone who is making a guarantee like that would really be thinking and setting that expectation for a client.
Yeah, thank you, Cory. And it's unprofessional, frankly, and that's a problem in our industry, is that, it'd be like a doctor saying, Cory, you'll be healthier if you come to me versus another doctor. They don't do that.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of a joke, and it's sad that other advisors are out there doing that. And listen, I'll stand behind our performance against another advisor all day long. Again, we're not perfect. There's no perfect method out there. But in our opinion, what an advisor should be doing is building out a financial plan, finding a target rate of return, and then comparing their performance against that target rate of return. Because that's ultimately all that matters, right? If a client can make 1 or 2% more, maybe not, like you said, because there's no guarantee, but how much risk are they taking to do that? And if they have a bad year, is their whole financial plan going to be ruined? Are they going to run out of money? And so you just don't let an advisor sway you. There's a lot of advisors out there that try to lead with performance, and it's a losing game for them, and it's a losing game, more importantly, for the clients, because it should be led by planning, target rates of return, why money is important to you. That's the conversation your advisor should be having with you, not, I can do better than your advisor, move your money over. I mean, that's a used car salesman tactic, and there's just no room for it in our industry. And I really, really wished FINRA or the SEC, which are the regulatory bodies, would get their act together to get some more regulations around that. And if people want to use performance or whatever, they need to call themselves a broker or salesman, because to me, it doesn't sound like that person is necessarily acting as a fiduciary. They're just trying to gather assets. And again, that's not what we do. We're here to help people. So again, it's an education problem. That's one of the reasons we record Upticks every week, is to help people.
Exactly.
And before we go into today's topics, again, thank you to our audience. Yes. Our subscriber count continues to grow. So please like and share our content. And if you have a question that you would like, or an issue that you'd like myself or Cory to bring up on Upticks, please email Luke at falconwealthadvisors.com, and Luke will make sure that your question gets answered here on Upticks. And again, the point of this show is to not provide tax, legal, or financial advice. It's for education and maybe some entertainment purposes only, Cory.
Maybe. We'll try.
All right. Kick us off, Cory.
All right, Jake. 6% of your paycheck is becoming a new standard for 401k saving.
Yes. So companies are now changing their auto enrollment amounts to 6%. Cory, I think they used to be around 3%. So my question to you is, are we okay with employers forcefully taking money away from employees' checks? Are we okay with that? Paychecks.
That's a great question, because I think, to answer your question, my opinion, are we okay with that? I don't think that should be up to the employer.
Yeah, the other side of that coin is there's a real problem in America with people aren't saving enough for retirement. And I think these employers want their employees to be able to retire financially stable at some point. And so that's, I guess, why they're doing it. Maybe they're trying to cover themselves too from just a benefit standpoint. But I agree. I think it's overstepping, forcing. Now, again, I believe most employees can opt out, right? So they can say, okay, you auto-enrolled me for this. I just got to go in there. So what they're banking on, Cory, is people are going to be lazy and they're not going to go in and look at their 401k. And sadly, I think a lot of people are lazy and don't go in and look at their 401k or how much.
That might play out exactly that way.
So maybe the one byproduct of this, Cory, is that a forceful 6% deduction from these employees' paychecks, and they'll see the money missing. Maybe that will encourage them to go seek out a wealth advisor to say, hey, my employer's taking 6%. I don't know if that's enough or too much. Can you help me figure out how much I should be saving? And so hopefully, I think for our industry, maybe that'll get the conversation going with more people trying to understand how much should I be saving? Because I got to feel like if I wasn't in this business and I didn't know how to crunch the numbers and do all that, if I was working somewhere and my employer just took out some arbitrary number to me, I would want to question, like, I don't even know if that's the appropriate amount. So I'm hopeful that it does spark some conversations and people seeking out advice. I don't like the force, but again, the fact that you can go in there and change it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Ultimately, though, one quick point, Jake, to make here is that the same way we've talked on the show how we don't expect any politician, right, or someone in Washington, D.C. to save our lives or make our lives better, the same should be true for your own retirement. Don't expect your company to just automatically do the right thing and set you up. Taking some ownership of what your options are to make sure that you're setting yourself up is really the right approach, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. You have to be responsible for yourself. That's exactly right. All right, Cory, lean on to the next one here. The 401k rollover mistake that costs retirement savers billions.
Right. So funny how actually this kind of ties into what you just talked about, Jake, in terms of people not taking action or people being lazy. So when people roll 401k balances from their old company's 401k plan, either somebody retires, changes jobs, whatever it might be. When people roll money out of the 401k plan into an IRA, the money is frequently held as cash until somebody selects new investments. This was highlighting that many people, Jake, after processing a rollover, never select investments. And the money that they roll out of their 401k ultimately just sits in cash. What I thought was really mind-blowing, frankly, about this, Jake, is that nearly a third of people that rolled savings into IRAs at Vanguard in 2015, this is a while ago, a third of people that process rollovers had the balance sitting in cash 7 years later and have missed out on what the market's done. And really, these numbers were shocking to me, Jake, because there's a chart that we can show up on the screen, but I just want to talk about this. The percentage of IRA investors who remain in cash after rolling over a 401k. This is suggesting, Jake, this was from Vanguard, 68,000 rollovers is what they analyzed in this. What this suggested is that 2 years after someone processes a rollover, people that are age 60 and older, 25% of them have the balance sitting in cash. And for people that are ages 20 to 29%, that's almost 70%.
Whoa.
So the takeaway from this, Jake, is that if you
hold on.
Please.
So these are do-it-yourselfers?
It's either do-it-yourselfers, yes, or if somebody has a small balance and their employer's plan is set up to automatically roll it over into an IRA at an institution like Fidelity, for example, manages a lot of 401k plans. A lot of those plans are written where money will, basically roll into an IRA at the same institution. And ultimately, people aren't selecting what to do with the money, and it's just sitting in cash. And
that's horrible. So people are either doing it. Hold on. So people are either doing it themselves and just letting it sit there in cash, or it's automatically getting pushed over there, and there's no investment election. This is really a bad. You're right. It is billions of dollars. I don't know why somebody would take their retirement savings. Like, I don't understand the do-it-yourselfers, because I got to believe there's not billions of these small accounts rolling over.
Though, if somebody thinks that their employer is going to automatically make contributions to their 401k, somebody might think that the institution they roll money over into is going to automatically invest their money.
Yeah, that's that's a good point of the show. So a good huge takeaway here, Cory, is
work with a professional.
Don't just sit there and think that your money is going to get invested automatically either. You've got to take some responsibility in your retirement. And if you're not working with because I would hope. Now, you know what's weird? I met with someone the other day, Cory, that their advisor had them sitting in cash, a lot of money in cash. And so sadly, you can't even always trust your advisor is going to do the right thing. And so you've got to be vigilant. You got to understand what's going on, how your money's invested the way that it is, why it's invested the way that it is. And again, it's more of the reason to seek out a professional and more of a reason to open up your statement. That's the easiest way to catch this stuff. It's just look at your monthly statement. If you've got retirement money sitting in cash that you're not going to need to access for 5 years or longer, it probably shouldn't be sitting in cash. Now, again, this is not advice, so maybe there is a reason for somebody, but my point is every dollar you have for retirement should be aligned with your financial plan. It should be that simple. Anything you've got earmarked for retirement needs to be invested and aligned with your financial plan. And maybe cash is that for some people is what I'm getting at. But for a lot of people, my argument is, especially for a younger person, I seriously doubt that that's common for it to be aligned, to be in cash. So thank you for that. I know I interrupted you there, but I wanted to chime in and ask you some questions because that's crazy.
Yeah, and my actionable item from that, Jake, was if you're going to do a rollover, work with the professional. And if you've done one, if you've processed a rollover from an old employer and you don't know what happened after that, right now is the time to go and find out. Open your statement, open the account, figure it out because it's working against you. Evidently, there's a lot of people that it's working against. So.
Right. All right, let's go on to the next one.
Let's do it. All right, Jake, how to get more dollars into tax-sheltered Roth accounts.
Yes. So these are for people that typically make too much money to be able to contribute to a Roth IRA. So there are some options though. If you're working and you make too much money and you can't contribute to a Roth IRA, some 401k plans will allow for in-plan conversions. So this means you take money from pre-tax while you're working and move it into a Roth in your 401k. Now again, the plan has to have a 401k and allow for this. So not everything can do this. There's also solo 401k plans. So these are typically for business owners, which probably aren't as common for our clients. And then a lot of clients, if you're 59 and a half or older, you could roll over your 401k, your pre-tax, into an IRA and then convert it to a Roth IRA. So the bottom line here, Cory, is to meet with us to understand your options and see what's best for you and your family. I have clients a lot, and there should be no shame in this. They'll say, geez, I don't know why I have all this money pre-tax. I should have done a Roth 20 years ago. And they feel a little bit ashamed. But that's not always a bad thing to have a lot of your money pre-tax, especially if you're in a higher income tax bracket. But when you retire, hopefully you go to a lower tax bracket, so then we can move some of that money over. And so again, we want to work in conjunction with your CPA. We want to use our tax planning software to help give you guidance on this or tax planning. But again, just know there are some options. I don't want people watching this show or listening to this show saying, I make too much money, I can't do a Roth, because there are ways to get your money into a Roth that some people don't know about. Again, in-plan conversion, roll over and convert, or if you're a business owner, maybe you can do a solo 401k. Any thoughts on this?
No, it's really good because the one thought I would add to that, Jake, is just don't make the assumption that it should be the exact same every year, which we've talked about on the show too. That's why that tax planning piece of what we do for clients at Falcon Wealth Advisors is so important, so that we can make sure we're staying out ahead of that. Because you're right, this has changed the same way that people today would say, if I had more dollars in a Roth account, this or that. Things have changed. They'll continue to change. So stay on top of it and be fluid with it and recognize that the best way to save money for retirement today might be different next year or the year after.
Yes, definitely a year-by-year conversation. All right, good, Cory. Next one, America's 60-year-olds are staring at financial peril. Wow, Cory.
I know, yeah. So I will admit, this headline, a little bit of clickbait maybe here, Jake, but it did have me intrigued. And I did want to just share a few things from this, because this was a story about the youngest baby boomers, which are classified as the people that will reach age 60 basically by the end of this year. And the birth dates of those in this generation, Jake, is almost 70 million people, or 1 in 5 Americans that were born in basically a 19-year span from the aftermath of World War II into the early 60s. The point here, though, in the financial peril that this article was highlighting, is talking about how people from this particular generation, late 50s, early 60s, have lived through the dot-com bubble, the great financial crisis, and have also worked and lived through an environment where there's been a shift away from steady pension plans. But my takeaway from this article, Jake, is that in a lot of ways, it's really the same as it ever was, and that some people are going to plan more than others. I think it's important to just highlight, of course, this is not, Jake, just for me and you or for anybody listening, but in general out in the world, that it is helpful for us to have empathy also, because this story highlighted some people that have dealt with traumatic health issues that just, there's only so much you could ultimately do to plan for. But the takeaway from this, what I thought was that why I wanted to share this, one is because I read this headline and thought, this is something I'm sure a lot of people would click on and read. But secondly, to be grateful for what you have. It's not too late to ultimately start planning. And also, don't let your emotions dictate investment decisions, because I will state that in this story, there are some people that made poor decisions through some of those market environments. And that's part of the reason why they've ended up in a difficult situation today. But I just wanted to kind of share this, Jake, and see if you had any thoughts or perspective on that.
Yeah, it's a sad reality. Again, a lot of Americans are struggling financially. And again, it's because they didn't start saving early or often enough. And some of them had some unforeseen circumstances that have hurt them financially. Again, that's just why, if we're going to live in the land of the free and have opportunity, you have to have accountability, and you've got to go out there and educate yourself. And again, it's another reason for this show as Upticks, is we want to help people, educate people so that they don't get in that situation where peril is on the horizon for them. And so good. I'm glad you brought it up. But again, it's just planning, investing, seeking out a fiduciary wealth advisor. All those things can help you with these issues. Good.
Absolutely. All right, Jake. Here are the keys to retiring early, according to Money Pros.
Yeah. So on the flip side of that coin, some people are looking to retire much earlier than normal. I'm talking in your 50s, 40s, which would be really early. But the article talked a lot about having your investments aligned with your financial plan, understanding your purpose, and knowing which accounts you're going to get money from based on your tax situation. So there's this FIRE movement, right? Financially independent, retire early. These are the extremists, people that want to retire in their 30s and 40s. Then there's people normal people who want to retire in their 50s or maybe early 60s. But the key here, Cory, is you can't, in my opinion, you can't do it without having a financial plan that's been well thought out. And you've got to make sure that your money that you're saving is in the appropriate type of account, because accessibility for someone retiring early is just as important as having enough saved, right? Because if all of your money is in an account that you can't access until you're 59 and a half, or you have to do some, juggling with the IRS, you might not be able to do what you want to do. And so having a plan, and then again, your purpose, you got to make sure, why do you want to retire at 45 or 50? Like, why are you so miserable? And that's another point, is that we see this a lot, Cory, that if somebody thinks their job is making them unhappy, many times it's not. There's a deeper issue causing them unhappiness. And these people are rudely awakened when they think their job is making them miserable. They retire and they're still miserable. And so again, I would just encourage people that you got to understand why you want to retire, when you want to retire. And if you're going to retire and you don't like your job, then what is your new purpose going to be? How are you going to find happiness? And if you do like your job, it's even harder sometimes, because then you've got to replace an already happy situation and make sure that you find that new purpose. So again, there's a lot of coaches out there that can help with this purpose idea, but it's just something that we want to shed a light on and bring awareness to, that people need to understand that, yes, Falcon Wealth Advisors, we can help crunch the numbers and help you understand financially what it's going to take. But you've got to understand from a purpose standpoint, what is it going to take to make you happy in retirement? Because the last thing we want to do is see somebody retire at 55, Cory, and then they're miserable and they hate it and they regret retiring. You don't want to do that. So again, it's very important to understand that and just bring some awareness to it and align your money with your plan. And then again, do some internal work on your purpose and figure out what's going to make you happy.
That's really good, Jake. And I that's probably missing for, I shouldn't say it's probably missing. That's something that I'm sure is missing for some people, because we've seen it. I've seen it. When somebody is in a situation where they are just so anxious to be done with work that they haven't given enough time or energy or thought to what they're going to do if they're not doing that anymore. And I think for people that are thinking about their careers, their work, their retirement, et cetera, I mean, it's the same way that we talk about traveling, right? And going on vacation is great, but ideally you have a life that you don't have to escape from, right? The same thing is true for vacation or for your career and your job and your employment. Ideally, you're building a life and a career that you don't have to escape from, or that it makes you so miserable you can't wait to get away from it. And if you're not in that situation, that's just something to consider, right? Sometimes I think people might feel like they're more trapped than they really are, Jake. And I think that, zooming out and looking at the big picture, what are you really trying to accomplish here? What is your purpose? What's driving you to do it every day? That's the stuff that's really going to make the difference for people in retirement.
Yeah, I used to joke with my buddies because I was early in my career, Cory. I didn't take vacations. I wasn't married. And I used to joke, what are you running from? I love Kansas City. And again, to be fair, I'm a homebody.
Sure.
Someone says travel to me, it doesn't like for me traveling. I get excited for clients that love to travel, and that's awesome, because that's probably the most popular thing that our clients want to do. But for me, it sounds exhausting. It's like I got to pack and I got to figure out airfare and hotels and what are we going to do? Where are we going to eat? And, all those things that I just like going into work. I love doing what I do at Falcon Wealth Advisors, hanging out with Rachel and Einstein, playing a little bit of golf. I'm completely happy doing that as often as I can. And so, but again, some people want to travel and that's fine. But again, you got to understand that purpose and be aligned with it. Cory, that's good. I appreciate you sharing that. I think that's a good place to stop today's episode. And we want to thank all of you for tuning in, and we hope you have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Upticks. Click the subscribe button to be notified when new episodes become available. Also, be sure to visit our website, falconwealthadvisors.com, and click the Contact Us button if you'd like to meet with Jake and his team.